Hello everybody. Today's module is about the multiple access techniques in wireless networks. The multiple access techniques which we'll be discussing today are more used in cellular systems. They are SDMA, FDMA, TDMA and CDMA, which abbreviates for space division multiple access, frequency division multiple access, time division multiple access and code division multiple access. Medium access control is very much required in wireless communications because the medium is air or atmosphere, and hence when many users try to access the medium simultaneously, collision occurs. So the algorithms used for the wireless communication should be very efficient. The goal should be maximum channel utilization. The interference or the collisions should be zero or it should be minimum. There should be no jitter or delay, and most of all there should be fairness maintained among the users. That is, no user should be given the access to the medium on biased basis and like this. So there are many MAC protocols which have been proposed for wireless communications. The reason for that is that the protocols which are used in wireless communications, most importantly CSMA-CD, which stands for Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collision Detection, cannot be applied to wireless communications because of the problems like hidden and exposed terminal and near and far terminal. This problem we have discussed in the previous module, and we also discussed an algorithm which is known as MAC-A, which solves this problem by the use of RTS and CTS. So in today's module, we will be discussing another multiple access techniques which are used in cellular systems. Now before moving to the module, let us consider an analogy of real time, and the solution to this analogy is the basis on which these multiple access techniques stand. We will be considering two analogies. The first analogy is a hall in which many people are sitting and they wish to communicate with each other in such a way that the communication do not interfere with each other. What is the obvious solution which comes to your mind? The obvious solution is that form the group of people and make them sit at the different places in such a way that the two groups are at a sufficient distance from each other so that their communication do not interfere with each other. So what we have done is that we have divided them in space dimension. Now there is also possibility that when they are sitting in different groups, then also the interference of the people in the same group may interfere with each other. So what we can do is that we can ask them to talk in different frequency. When I am talking about voice communication, frequency means the speed with which they are talking. So if one person will be speaking softly, slowly, and the other fastly, then the communication will not interfere with each other. Now again, when the people sitting in the same group at the same place wish to communicate at same speed, so what can be done is that, now the solution which comes to my mind is that I allow them to speak at different times. So what is happening is that they are sitting in different groups at different places. I have performed space division. Now I tell them to talk with different speed. That is, I have performed frequency division, and now I am telling them to speak at different times. So what I can do is that I can allot a particular time period to one person and say that now you are sitting here, you have to talk at your own speed but for this time period. Now this is time division. Now again these people do not want to comply with it. Okay, so what will be done is that they are sitting at the same place, they are talking with same speed, but at the same time, yet I do not want the communication to interfere with each other. Now what is the solution? The solution is that I can ask the people to speak in different languages. That is, one person may speak in English, the other in French, the other in Hindi, the other in Sanskrit, and so on. So what will happen is that they are sitting at same place, they are talking at same time, but speaking in different codes. Now what will happen to the receiver now? he will get the communication of all the people and in different garble of language. The first condition is that the receiver should understand all the languages. Okay, so to get the communication or what a particular user has spoken, he should be able to find out the language with which that person has spoken, and then what he has received. From that he can easily make out that what that person has spoken. So these are the 4 dimensions in which the division has been performed: space, frequency, time and language. For language I can use the word code. So these are the 4 dimensions. Okay. Now this is a very these are the very interesting solutions which are applied in real time, and these are the solutions to the multiple access techniques in wireless communications. Let us look to the another analogy and we will see the same problem and the same solution. That is, there is a highway and many vehicles are moving on that highway. So how it is analog to wireless communication? Because the medium is common, that is the highway, there are many users which are the vehicles and which wish to move. Now what is the goal? There should be no collision, that is, there should be no accident. So what is done? We all see what is done actually to avoid accidents on highway. That is, different lanes are formed. Now what does these different lanes depict? They depict the bifurcations in space dimensions. That is, each car will move in its own lane. But what is the limitation of this? That means if I have 4 lanes, then only 4 cars can transmit without colliding with each other. This is not an efficient utilization of the space, because that lane won't be utilized by any other car until it reaches the other end. Okay, so for that time period, that car will utilize the whole lane. That is exactly what happens in wireless communications also. So when a particular channel is assigned to the user and it does not use it, it is wastage of that particular channel. So what should be done is that I can allow more and more cars to move in one lane, but at the same time I have to avoid the collision also. So what can be done is that the cars may travel with different speeds. That is, if in a same lane one car is moving with a speed of 100 kilometers and another with the speed of 10 kilometers, in no way they will have accidents with each other, because the 100-kilometer car will be far ahead than the car with 10 kilometers. Okay. So what we have seen till now, the space division had been performed by dividing the highway into different lanes, and now the cars are told to move with different speed, hence the frequency division. Speed is analogous to frequency. Now again, suppose I have makes the division of speed, say suppose 10 frequency slot and 3 lanes are there. So here only 30 cars might be able to move without accidents. So how I can further increase the capacity? What I can do is that now within a same lane, the cars moving with a particular frequency, that is, in the same lane there are 2 cars moving with 100 km speed. So what will be done is that they will be allowed to move at different times. Right? So one can be, that is, a particular time slot can be assigned to a car. For that time slot only, that car will move. So suppose if I say that there are 5 time slots, okay, in 100 kilohertz speed band. So 5 cars can be accommodated. That means 5 cars can take their turn and go within that particular lane. So what is the capacity here? There are 3 lanes. In each lane there are 10 bifurcations according to the speed. So capacity has increased by 10. So 3 times are 30. The 30 cars can travel, and within one particular speed band I am saying that I am assigning 5 time slots to 5 users. So to reduce the interference. So again the capacity has increased 5-fold times. So 30 multiplied by 5, which gives me 150. So I have increased the capacity by 150. So what is the goal here? That the channel or the medium is efficiently utilized, as well as there are no collisions. So with the help of this analogy, we have seen that there are 4 dimensions in which the medium can be regulated, that is space, frequency, time, and in the Hall of People problem, we saw that the code can also be applied. So this is the basis of the multiple access techniques which are used in cellular systems. That is, the multiple access techniques or the media work in such a way that medium is regulated in 4 dimensions: space division multiple access, frequency division multiple access, time division multiple access, and code division multiple access. So in this module, we will be discussing these techniques in detail. We will see how they are implemented, what are the advantages and limitations of this technique. But the only one thing which we have seen in the 2 examples also, and which will be followed in our consecutive discussions also, that no technique is used alone. All the techniques except CDMA, all the techniques are used in conjunction with each other. That is, within the space I have performed frequency, within frequency I have performed time division, and so on. So let us start with this module. So the 4 dimensions of regulating access are space division multiple access, frequency division multiple access, time division multiple access, and code division multiple access, very popularly known as SDMA, FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. We will see these access techniques one by one. So in this module, we will be discussing all these multiple access techniques, how they are implemented, what are the advantages and limitations of each technique, and which technologies utilize which type of multiple access technique. First, take a look at SDMA. As the name itself indicates, space divisions. That is, different users sharing the bandwidth are physically separated from each other by allocating them a separate space. As in the example or as in the analogy, different lanes or the different places where the persons are sitting. This type of multiple access technique is used in FM radio stations, that is, they use same frequencies but in different cities. Right? So you can see that if you can always wonder that how 98.3 FM is allocated to the same channel all over India. Why? Because 98.3 FM works in Ahmedabad, it also works in Baroda, but the distance between the Ahmedabad and Baroda is so much that the signals do not interfere with each other. So I can allocate the same frequency to the channel, but they are physically separated from each other. Another example of SDMA is our very popular cellular systems, in which the area is divided into geographical units known as cells. Each cell, the neighboring cells are allocated disjoint frequencies. The same frequency is allocated to a cell which is quite farther from the cells, and these 2 cells are known as co-channel cells. So cellular systems also implements space division, because for a particular space I am assigning the particular frequencies. Now within a particular cell, interference can be further reduced by using sectorized antennas. That means I can divide the cell into different parts by using a sectorized antenna. That is the logical division of the cell. So each cell is divided into 3 sectors of 120 degree each. Now what is the total degree of a particular cell? 360 degree. So instead of having one omnidirectional antenna, it has 3 sectorized antennas, and one sectorized antenna will entertain one sector of a particular cell, another sector of a particular cell, and so on. So within a particular cell also, a space division is implemented by dividing the area into cell. Within a particular cell, again it is divided into different areas by the use of sectorized antenna. Further interference can be reduced by the use of directional antennas. What are directional antennas? Their transmission follows a particular direction only. For example, satellite dish antennas. They are highly directional that allow the transmit signals to many zones on Earth's surface using duplicate frequencies for different zones. Then there are also new technologies developing in which the signals can be focused on specific users excluding all others. That is, the signal will reach only to that mobile phone or only to that subscriber to which the call has been made. Now, these types of antennas are known as smart antennas. They use adaptive arrays in which dynamic beam forming is done so that the omnidirectional signals can be shrinked into narrow beams which can be focused on specific users excluding all others. That is, the transmission will reach only the intended users and hence the interference can be reduced. Okay, so in a space division multiple access, we can see that it can be implemented with the help of cellular by dividing the areas by dividing a big area into small areas, that is in cellular system. Then further divisions by the use of sectorized antenna, transmission coverage by directing the transmission coverage by the use of directional antennas, and using smart antennas to shrink the signals into narrow beams that can be focused only on specific users. Now, what is the disadvantage of SDMA? We said that we allocate the frequencies to a particular area for all the time. Now, what if the devices in that particular area do not utilize the channels allocated to them all the time? So, this will be the wastage of bandwidth, and it is not affordable in a situation when there is already a scarcity of bandwidth. Therefore, SDMA is never used alone. It is always used in conjunction with FDMA or TDMA. Let us move to another scheme, which is frequency division multiple access. In this scheme, the bandwidth is divided into number of non-overlapping frequency bands with guard spaces between them. Each band can be used by a single user. Why guard spaces are used? Guard spaces are needed to avoid adjacent channel interference. Now, these frequencies can be allocated in two ways: fixed FDMA and divide driven FDMA. Fixed FDMA, for example, in radio stations. In this scheme, the frequencies allocated to the channels are fixed and they remain unchanged. The limitation is that bandwidth is wastage when the user is not using the frequencies allocated to it. Another is demand driven FDMA, in which the channels are allocated according to the load and demand. That is, where the load is maximum, more channels will be allocated. Where the load is minimum, less number of channels will be allocated. FDMA also comes into other variants. One is pure FDMA and the other is frequency hopping. Pure FDMA means that the frequencies assigned to the channels can be same for the whole time. That is, the transmission will be on a same frequency channel for the complete transmission till it is over. Right? Another is frequency hopping, in which the frequencies assigned vary at different interval of time. That is, the transmission will be on one of the frequency channels for some time and then jump to another frequency channel after another time. The pattern of this channel usage is known as hopping sequence, which both sender and receiver has to agree upon. Bluetooth, IEEE 82.11 Wi-Fi, GPS and many other technologies use frequency hopping. What is the advantage of frequency hopping over pure FDMA? That is, the same frequency is not used throughout the transmission, and hence the conversation or the transmission would be difficult to intercept or tap, because only the receiver who knows the hopping sequence, that is on what time interval which frequency channel is used, who knows the hopping sequence will only be able to intercept the transmission. Also, frequency hopping converts the narrowband channel into the broadband. That is this technique. That is why this technique is known as spread spectrum technique. You can see in the diagram that the diagram is between time and frequency. So at different point of time, different frequencies are used. If B is the total available bandwidth, G is the width of guide bands, and CH is the bandwidth of a single radio channel, then the number of channels available in FDMA is given by B minus 2G divided by CH. So I leave this as an exercise for you, that take some examples of bandwidth, guide bands, and the bandwidth allocated to a single radio channels. The values I will be giving you in this module itself as an example of frequency division used in GSM. So you yourself find that in GSM 900, you know the bandwidth, you know the width of guide bands, you know CH is that is the bandwidth of a single radio channel. Just find out number of channels in FDA system used in GSM. I'll tell you the answer for this. The FDMA, how FDMA is used in GSM. The first thing is that when you are talking on a phone, that is, the voice communication should always be a full duplexed. What does full duplexing means? That the transmission should be such that what we are listening and what we are hearing should not interfere with each other. Therefore, the frequencies allocated for hearing and listening should also be separated from each other. So in mobile phone technologies, the frequencies allocated for transmission from mobile station to base station are known as uplink frequencies, and from base station to mobile stations known as downlink frequencies. Let us take an example of GSM 900, in which uplink frequencies are 890.2 MHz to 915 MHz, and downlink frequencies are 935.2 MHz to 960 MHz. You can see that there is also a guide band of 50 MHz between the uplink and downlink bands. The purpose of this gap is to separate the transmission on uplink as well as in downlink to avoid the interference. Both uplink and downlink bandwidth is divided into 124 channels of 200 kHz each, with guide bands of 100 kHz. I am sure that you must have also got the same answer from the formula which I just gave you, and I told you to find the number of channels. So guide band is 100 kHz, each channel is 200 kHz, and the bandwidth of GSM is given. So the number of channels is 124 channels. The uplink and downlink frequencies are calculated as FU designates uplink frequencies. So it is 890 MHz, that is the initial frequency, plus 0.2 multiplied by n megahertz, where m is the number of uplink channel for which I want to calculate the frequency. Similarly, FD, that is the downlink frequency for a particular channel, is 935 MHz plus 0.2 into n, that is for the number of channel for which I want to calculate megahertz. Why I am multiplying it by 0.2? Owing to the size of the guide bands, which is 200 kHz each. There is also an offset of 45 MHz between the downlink frequency and uplink frequency. Therefore, I can calculate the downlink frequency directly by adding 45 megahertz to uplink frequency. So FD is equal to FU plus 45 megahertz. So this is how GSM uses frequency division multiple access. It is just shown pictorially that there are 124 channels, 20 megahertz is the guard band, and the different frequencies for uplink and downlink has been shown. What are the features of FDMA? FDMA can be used both for digital as well as for analog transmission. Now the most important requirement is that the receiver should tune into same frequency as the sender. You all experience this also. That is, if you want to listen to the transmission of radio, you have to tune your radio onto the frequency on which the transmission is sent. Right? So receiver should tune into same frequency as the sender. In digital transmission, the channel is not needed for the whole time. FDMA demands highly efficient filters in radio hardware. Right? As a result of frequency filtering, FDMA is not prone to near-far problem that exist in CDMA. All users transmit and receive at different frequencies because every user receives an individual frequency slot. There is another variant of FDMA which is known as orthogonal frequency division multiple access used in WiMAX 82.16e. That is, the frequency used are orthogonal to each other. What is meant by orthogonal? 90 degree to each other, hence no need of guard bands between them. Very popularly known as OFDM. And the important feature is that guard bands are not required because in no case these frequencies will interfere with each other as they are orthogonal to each other. Now let us look at another scheme which is known as time division multiple access. In this scheme, multiple users can transmit using the same frequency but at different times. Just look at the diagram. The whole bandwidth is used, but every user is getting the whole bandwidth for a particular time only. Each user transmits using the common frequency band but at different non-overlapping time slot. No two users should be given overlapping time slot. The entire bandwidth is available to the user only for a finite time. Now again, there are two variants of this scheme. Fixed TDMA, in which the slot sizes are fixed. That is, if t is the time in second and n is the number of users, then the slot size is equal to t by n. Dynamic TDMA, in which the time slot are assigned according to the traffic demand of each user. Now this overcomes the limitation of fixed TDMA, in which if a user does not transmit during the allocated time slot, the corresponding bandwidth is wasted. TDMA is implemented in GSM also. GSM provides 8 TDMA slices of 577 microsecond each. That is, each user transmits for 577 microsecond and then the bandwidth goes to the another user, the third user, and so on. So in this way there are 8 time slots available. So after the 8th user gets the bandwidth and the first user, if he has not completed his transmission by now, the bandwidth or the channel access goes back to the first user. Therefore, each transmitter gets the channel after 577 microseconds multiplied by 8, that is the 8 time slots, which comes out to be 4.615 millisecond. Now this is a very small time. You hardly observe that the channel has been taken away from you and it comes back to you. You just observe the seamless channel availability to you, but in practice it has been taken away from you and comes back to you in a time of 4.6 millisecond, implementing time division multiple access. In practice, again, as we say that SDMA is not used alone, it is used in conjunction with FDMA and TDMA. FDMA can be used in conjunction with TDMA, that is what we saw in frequency hopping. that is a frequency, the transmission jumps from one frequency channel to another frequency channel at different times. So actually in practice it is FDMA plus TDMA. So these multiple access schemes are not mutually exclusive of each other. They can be used in conjunction also. The last multiple access scheme which we'll be discussing is code division multiple access. All the users utilize complete bandwidth all the time, but the separation between the users is performed by the help of the codes which are assigned uniquely to a user. Now, what is the advantage of this scheme? The scheme implies that a receiver will only get the transmission of the sender if he knows the code. That is, I can only listen what you are speaking if I know the language in which you are speaking. So code division multiple access comes with built-in security. And the most important advantage is that everyone is allowed to use the complete bandwidth for the whole time. Only thing is that every user will now be transmitting using different codes. This is exactly what we saw when we discussed the analogy to the multiple access requirement, that is the people sitting in a hall speak in different languages. But there itself we also discussed that these languages should be very different from each other. So the same thing applies here also, that the codes should also be very different from each other. Such type of codes are known as orthogonal codes. What is an orthogonal code? Two codes are said to be orthogonal if there is no correlation between them. So if I find the correlation between the two codes by finding the dot product of two codes, it should come out to be 0. So a good code should have a maximum autocorrelation with itself. That is, if I find the correlation of the code with itself, it should give me a maximum value, and it should have no correlation with other codes. One such example is the Barker code, which is represented by +1 -1 +1 +1 -1 +1 +1 +1 -1 -1 -1. This is the code used in IEEE 82.11. The example of orthogonal code, you can see I've just given two codes represented by 250 and 007. If I find the dot product of these two codes, how do you do the dot product? That is, you multiply the elements one by one correspondingly and then you add the products. So just look, you multiply 2 by 0, you get a 0, then 5 multiplied by 0, a 0, and 0 multiplied by 7, a 0. That means when I add, I get a 0. That means I can say that these two codes are orthogonal in nature. Take another example of code 000 110 11 and 01 0000 10. I leave it as an exercise for you that find the inner product or the dot product of these codes and say that these two codes are orthogonal with each other. So to summarize with, in this module we have learned 4 multiple access techniques which are commonly used in wireless communication: space division, frequency division, time division and code division. With the help of an analogy, we have seen that how space, frequency, time and code can be used to provide the access of multiple users to the same medium without or minimum interference. We have seen that space division multiple access can be accessed in cellular system by dividing the area into different regions and then allocating a particular antenna to a particular region, working on a specific number of channels. The further space division can be performed by use of sectorized, directional or smart antennas. We have also seen that in FDMA the available bandwidth is divided into different frequency channel and the user uses that one frequency channel for the whole time. The limitation to this scheme is that if the user is not using that frequency band, for the whole time the bandwidth would be wasted. Now FDMA can be of two types, that is pure FDMA and FHSS. In pure FDMA, the whole of the frequency channel remains with the user for the whole time, whereas in frequency hopped spread spectrum technique, the transmission jumps from one frequency channel to another frequency channel on regular time basis. So FHSS is actually a combination of FDMA and TDMA. We have seen that GSM uses FDMA by dividing the available bandwidth into 124 channels. In time division multiple access, we have seen that different users are allocated the whole frequency band but for a limited amount of time. For example, in GSM, a time slot, 8 time slot of 577 microsecond each are given to one user, so that the first user gets back the channel after 577 microsecond multiplied by 8 time, that is 4.7 millisecond. In all the three schemes, we have seen that space is divided, frequency bands are used and time bands are used. The fourth technique which we discussed is known as CDMA, in which different codes are assigned to different users and they can transmit using these different codes in such a way that their transmission do not interfere with each other. The advantage of this scheme is that the receiver has to know the code in order to interpret what the sender has sent. Hence it comes with built-in security. And another advantage is that whole of the available bandwidth is given to all the users for the whole time. This is used in CDMA, 3G communication, CDMA 1 and so on. The disadvantage or the limitations of CDMA which we saw in this module was that it requires power regulation constantly, so that the devices which are nearer to the particular device do not drown the signal of the devices which are far away. So in this module, we have discussed these 4 multiple access techniques. In the coming module, the next module, we will be discussing some more techniques. Till then, have a good day.